I'm here with no other than Skinner. How are you, sir?
I'm blessed, man. How are you?
Good. First thing that comes to your mind when you think of Canada?
Dollar exchange.
It's not a good thing, is it?
Yeah, I've worked Canada for years. I worked in the AWA way back in the early 80s, and we used to go to Winnipeg and go into Canada, and never realized that when I was getting paid from Canada, it was going to be a big difference when it made it to the United States.
I got to say now, what got you into wrestling?
I bought a ticket at the front door.
I love it. I got to now ask you.
You don't have time for me to tell you what got me in, so I just thought I'd condense it a little bit.
I got to say now, you have a historic background and a record with NWA. Now, tell me some fondest moments there.
Well, there wasn't a lot of fond moments. I wish I could give you some kind of embellishment here, but at that time, I mean, 70s, 80s, and early 90s, that the money wasn't the same. I mean, it was a lower scale pay. And so, I had a really good career in the NWA, but it was promoted by the time we got into the cable and did the pay-per-views and stuff for the WWF later on.
How about the Fabulous Ones? How did that come about?
That was created by Jerry Jarrett in Tennessee. He saw Stan Lane and I working as a tag team one time, and he says, man, I got to get Jackie Fargo involved. And Jackie Fargo really liked Stan and I, and so we were born right there in Tennessee.
How about Doink the Clown? That had to have been something different.
Well, that was a mistake of mine. I saw that Skinner was kind of like going down the ladder there in the WWF, and I said, I need to change, and it's easy for me to change. All I got to do is shave a beard, grow a beard, whatever, and then I saw Matt Bourne getting pushed pretty hard as Doink the Clown, and regardless of the clown character, I said to Vince, I said, hey, I got an idea. And then later on, WrestleMania 9, he used my idea, and then the curse was on. Now I'm stuck with Doink. I went from not getting dressed in the dressing room for about an hour. All I had to do as Skinner is roll around on the floor, take a big mouthful of licorice, a drink of water, and walk out the door. When I became Doink, it took me an hour just to paint my face.
You did yourself?
Yeah, I had to do it. You had to do it yourself because when you were at TVs or pay-per-views, you had costume and makeup people, but when you're on the road, you don't have those people, so you had to learn to do it yourself. And so with that being said, here's the worst curse. When I tell people that what I did, they go, what'd you do for a living? I said, well, I was a professional waiter. I just waited in airports, waited on planes, waited at arenas. But when I tell them I was a wrestler, they go, oh, well, who were you? I go, well, Steve Keirn, never heard of him. I was Steve Gator Keirn, never heard of him. I was one of the Fabulous Ones, never heard of him. I was Skinner, never heard of him. Well, I was Doink the Clown. I know him. And I'm going, what the hell? After 44 years in the wrestling business, the only thing they remember me for is being the second clown?
I love it.
What's up with that?
I guess right there, the character you have right there as well in that photo, Skinner. How did that all come about?
Skinner?
Yeah.
Well, because I grew up with Hulk Hogan.
Of course.
There's 5 of us that went to school together, and when I was in between doing the Fabulous Ones and trying to figure out how to get in the WWF, I called Terry up and I said, hey, what do you think about me coming up there? And he says, I'll get you an interview with Vince. I came up, and I didn't come unprepared. I had just killed 15 alligators in the first hunt in the state of Florida. So I thought, well, I better come up with something. I came up with some alligator skins. I came up with a big head. I came up with the claw that I wore around my neck, and I laid it on his desk, and I said, well, I don't know what you want to do with me, but there you go. He hired me, said, get rid of the bleach blonde hair, come back in 1 month. And bring you in. I said, you mean you're going to pay me for doing nothing for a month? And he goes, yeah. And I said, I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah,
I'm in. I don't care what you make me. Anyway, I came back, and he said, Steve, did you see the movie Deliverance? And I go, oh, yeah, Vince. I saw it about 100 times. He goes, well, I want you to be one of those guys. Well, naturally, my thought process went from, okay, I was one of the Fabulous Ones before. I'm good looking, man. I'm a really handsome guy. I must be Burt Reynolds, right? And he goes, nah, I don't want you to be Burt Reynolds. He goes, do you remember the 2 guys in the woods with Ned Beatty that said, hey, boy, you got a right pretty mouth? I go, yeah. He says, I want you to be one of those. I go, perfect.
Sign me up.
Perfect. My wife's going to love that character.
Love it. Now, last question. Now, when it's all said and done, what do you want the fans to remember you as all the characters that you were?
I'm a soldier. I'm a soldier of wrestling. I'm not trying to be an icon, and I'm not let down that I'm not the main guy. I was just a guy that had a passion for the wrestling business and wanted to stay in it, wanted to do it as much as I could. And I took a career that should have ended at 30 years just wrestling, and I extended it another 14 years and being an agent for Vince for 6, and then running the developmental. Matter of fact, I trained that guy right there.
Heath Slater, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure did. A lot of my students. So anyway, but that's what it was. And then I totally burned out. And now I don't watch and I don't wrestle. And I'm back to when people ask, what'd you do? I'm a professional waiter. Man, I can wait anywhere. I mean, I just waited in the lobby over there since 8:45, and nobody's coming in. But of course, there's 2 lobbies. When I pushed lobby on the hotel elevator, it went down to one out in the door and sat out. Okay, nobody came.
Exactly.
I had to call them to find them.
Sir, it's been an absolute honor.
No, thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. And welcome to Canada.
All right, well, God bless you.
God bless you too.